Hello and welcome to episode 53 of the Mouses Makes Knitting podcast. My name is Mandy, sometimes known as Mouse, and this is where I like to show off the things that I've made or am making. Mostly knitting, very occasionally some crochet, even less often a little bit of sewing. I have actually got a finished object today. But before I show you that, I should really tell you in proper podcaster style what I'm wearing. I'm wearing the Breezeway tee by Fog Bound Knits, which I made around about this time last year actually. I do wear it quite a bit, but it's a little bit large. I'm planning on casting on another one, and it's really only the top half of it. So I think I'm going to go down a size, maybe even 2. I'll have to have a look at the numbers just to make the top a little bit snugger, and then increase out to the same amount for the rest of it, because the rest of it fits quite nicely. But as you can see, the arm size a little bit low, and it's inclined to fall off my shoulder. So I'd like to just make this upper bust bit a little bit closer, I think. I will link the pattern below. I will write that down so that I don't forget, because I hadn't written this down. Because when I prepared my notes, I didn't know what I was going to be wearing, so yeah. Anyway, I finished something. Hooray! I got into a really weird mood last week where I felt like I hadn't finished anything for months and months. I just realised it's got quite dark. Oh gosh, this happens all the time. I spend ages fiddling about with the blind for no benefit whatsoever, so I'm just going to leave it alone. And I have got a lot of stuff on the needles. I hold my hands up to that. I just don't seem to ever be finishing anything. So I decided that I was going to have a bit of a change to my knitting rota. If you're new here, you may not know that I have a knitting rota. Every day of the week has 2 projects assigned to it, and I only knit on them on that day. I've changed that slightly. A couple of projects have been abandoned. I've abandoned my streamline tank because I didn't like, I'd made a mistake on it, and I didn't like the weight of the cotton with what is essentially a vest top, and I felt that it was going to be too warm, so I've abandoned that. I'll knit it in something else. And I was going to show you this later. I'm sorry, I'm meant to be showing you what I finished, not telling you what I failed on. I've abandoned, and it breaks my heart, the Velicore tee by Andrea Mowry that I was knitting. I was knitting it in Stylecraft linen drape, and to begin with, this is a fingering weight pattern and I was doing it in DK. And I didn't take that into account as far as meterage was concerned, or the fact that being a linen viscose mix, it was quite heavy. So the meterage per 100 grams was quite short. I had 500 grams of the main colour, and I had knit 2 there and used up 100 grams. So there was no way I had enough to finish it. There was also no way I'd be able to get extra, because I've had that for possibly 3, maybe longer, 3 years or longer. So there was no way I was going to match the dye lot or anything. So with a very, very heavy heart yesterday, I pulled it down, and I'm going to knit it again in fingering weight and hopefully replicate the colours that I'd chosen in the linen drape because it looked really good. I can't cast it on immediately because I'm using the needle for my mohair sweater, which I'll show you in a bit. So yeah, the frog pond was a bit busy this week. And that was at the end of me thinking, I'm just not ever finishing anything. So I decided what I was going to do was each week I will pick a particular item and I will concentrate on that until it's done. So every day I'll be knitting on one item on my rota, and the rest of the day I'll be knitting on whatever that week's chosen project is until it's finished. I'll show you what I've chosen for this week in a bit, but before that I decided that these had been hanging around for long enough. They look a bit scruffy on the sock blockers. I do apologise, it's because they haven't got a rib to hold them in. It's my own pattern, and these were my beside the bed knitting, which is why they've hung around for a bit. The main yarn is, and I fished the tag back out, Whistlebear's Cuthbert Sock, which is 80% Whistlebear mohair, 20% Whistlebear Wensleydale wool, and the colourway is Storm Warning. I won this from Leslie at the Not Quite Enough Yarn podcast, and I made a pair of fingerless mitts, and then I thought I'm going to use the rest for some shorty socks. Not knowing how much I had, I thought, well, I'll do toe up, and as I was knitting them, they just seemed to be calling out to have a roll down cuff. I don't know why. So that's what I did. I've only got one other pair that I've done this on, and they do stay up. I got the idea from Amanda at Southern Knits in the Mitt. She does all her socks with a roll down cuff, and I did ask her, I messaged her and I asked, do they stay up? And she said yes. The sun's going to come out now, which is going to make the lighting even more hideous. I do apologise. So I'm going to enter these both in Dear Designs Year of the Sock, and also into Alex from My Yarny Corner's Inspiration Make Along, because they were inspired by Amanda from Southern Knits in the Mitt. The main colour, as I say, was the Whistlebear. The grey was, or is, Drops Fable Unicolour in colour 200. It's just a medium grey. And I've used up all of that Whistlebear yarn apart from this tiny little bit. So I don't think I've done too badly with my prize, Leslie. I've got a pair of fingerless mitts and a pair of socks, and I think they're going to be nice, warm, cosy, being mohairy. So yeah, I have finished a thing. Only a small thing, but it made me feel better that I'd actually finished something. If you were here last week, you will have seen that I made a horrible mess with my mohair sweater. I'm running a knit along, sort of in support of Ukrainian designers, and the hashtag is Knitting with Ukraine. It's running on Instagram, and all you have to do to enter is knit a pattern or crochet or cross stitch, whatever, as long as it's designed by a Ukrainian designer, and then share it on Instagram using the hashtag Knitting with Ukraine and tagging the designer in. That may be a little bit, you may need to do a little bit of research for that, because they don't all go under their own names. I on Instagram am just Amanda Jane Davies, but some people would put Mouse's Makes, or so sometimes they go under a different name, which is It's a little bit of detective work. It's not hard, especially if you've got your pattern from Ravelry. If you just go to that designer's home page, it usually says what their Instagram hashtag is. So it's easily enough sorted. Anyway, I'm knitting the Sienna sweater by Natalie Pellick. Again, all the designs, all the patterns will be linked below. They may not be there immediately that the podcast goes up, so watch it and then look back, because what I do is upload, and then once it's uploaded I go onto my laptop and I put in all the descriptions and everything. So if it's not there straight away, don't panic, come back later. I was knitting this and I had made a horrible mess. And the horrible mess necessitated pulling it back. The mistake I'd made wasn't what I thought I'd done, so I actually had to pull it back further than I expected. I'm trying to get a coat hanger in here in the hope that it might make it easier for you to see. Not sure it will. It might do. So I had to pull it back 25 rows, which did not please me, but wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be all, because it's mohair, all tangled together and a real pain in the neck. But in actual fact, in all those 25 rows, there were only 4 little places where the wisps had tied themselves into a knot, and it was a bit of a challenge. Other than that, it was pretty easy. So here it is. I don't know how well you can see. Last week I wore a black top so that you could see properly. But I had these sort of Christmas trees, they were okay, but underneath where this nice zigzag was, I'd got some ticks. And now I have a nice zigzag. I'm hoping you can see that okay. So we're back on track with this. All is well. However, this has got the needle in that I need to cast on the Vellicore again. So the Vellicore is going to have to wait until I finish this, which is a shame, but hopefully this won't take too long. I mean, it's a 2.75mm needle and single mohair. It's not growing very quickly, but it's quite enjoyable to knit. And I think once I get past doing all the fancy bits and increasings and what have you, and it's just plain knitting, I think it'll go fairly quickly. So that's all sorted. That's all back on track. Really pleased with it. Love the colour. Oh, I should have told you what it was, shouldn't I? It's I'm doing this from memory. Filetti di Colazone, I think, because the bag with the rest of the balls in is over there and I'm not getting up to get it because I've barricaded myself in. I don't think there's a colourway, and it's 5% nylon, 20% wool, 75% mohair. I think that's right. If not, you'll see next week. That's that one. Right, the project that I decided was going to get the extra special attention this week is this one. I have to do this very carefully because these all have balls attached to them. It is an Arsha by Jennifer Steingass. Sorry, my brain went in completely the wrong direction there. I've tried it on, it fits, quite happy with it. I finished the body. When I showed it to you last week, let me see which way can I turn this. I was there. That little piece of chocolate cake is hanging. So I finished the body. This is on a 3.25mm needle, so again, it's slow going. And I've started down the sleeve. I was tempted when I tried it on to just put the ribbing on the sleeves and call it finished. But I did have 200 grams of yarn left, plus a little bit in the ball. Gosh, this has made my nose itch. I'm so sorry. Something's made my nose itch. So I thought, well, I've got enough yarn to put long sleeves on it. It's a bit naughty if I don't. So I am doing. The yarn, typically, I once again have not got a ball. I thought I'd organised myself so well today, and I was wrong. The yarn is, okay, let me think about this. What is it? Regular viewers are all shouting out to me what it is. It's no, it's gone. I'm going to have to get the ball. This is so annoying. I hate my brain. Sorry about that. It's Serge Arclic in colourway or shade 0129. And it's 70% acrylic, 30% wool, 50 gram balls. I've got 4 untouched, plus the one that I'm currently sitting on, excuse me. Plus that much. So I've got plenty to put on long sleeves. There's no neckband. The neckband is done, so I don't need to worry about saving yarn for that. So yeah, I can't be lazy, can I? I've got to put the long sleeve on. In all honesty, it won't take that long, because that's the thing with sleeves. Generally, they go quicker and quicker because you get less and less stitches, don't you? So yeah, this one is the one that's getting the special attention. Might even be finished by next Wednesday when I record. Who knows? There's always hope. I'm just going to move the stitch marker while I think of it, because I'm terrible for forgetting to do that. It does look like it's got a hole in it every now and again. That's just where where's it gone? There it is. That's just where I've joined on a new ball on the back. It'll be gone when I weave the ends in afterwards. That'll be fine. Stick that on there. There we go. So yeah, I felt so much better once I'd finished a pair of socks and got that kind of within shouting distance of being finished. I kind of feel like I'm making progress now. I've also made quite a bit of progress on some of my other ongoing projects. Let me show you these. This first one is my rocket tee. Another rocket tee, I know. And again, it's all connected to, in this case, at the moment, 2 balls, so I've got to be a bit careful. So I have finally got down far enough to divide for the sleeves, and that's pretty much as far as I've got. I've done a couple of rows since, that's all. I'm making this one in a larger size to the one that I made last time. Oh gosh, this isn't gonna work very well, because I felt it was a bit snug. And now I'm looking at this one and worrying that it's going to be a bit loose, but the pattern is supposed to have a bit of positive ease. Not 22 inches of positive ease like the first one I made though. That's still sitting in the naughty corner. Definitely hasn't got that much positive ease. That's why I put them on a long cord, so that I can actually see, because that first one, it looked so nice. It was kind of a biscuity beigey mohair and white 4-ply, and it was so pretty. And then I tried it on and I could have fit the whole family in it, literally. But this is attempt number 4, the third one that's actually gone correctly. So quite pleased with this. Doing this one in narrow stripes for a change. And I know bigger ladies aren't supposed to wear stripes, and I really don't care because I like stripes. So stripes it's going to be. The yarns I'm using, the creamy colour is called White Mice, and that's by Little Mouse House. The pink is Montague from the Shakespeare collection by Amanda of Little Lycac Yarns. And the green, which is a bit hard for you to see, has got little flecks of a pinky red in. That is Squished Kermit by my lovely friends Caroline and Andrew of the Aria Bark podcast. That was a birthday present. So it's got 3 yarns in from 3 of my favourite dyers and favourite people, to be fair, although I don't know Isabella from Little Mouse House. Nonetheless, I am calling it my toothpaste tea, and I'm sure you can see why. So really pleased I've made some good progress with that as well. All those yarns are 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, by the way. So they're going okay. Stay. Sorry, I have a pile. I have many piles. Because I tried to organise myself well today. Obviously I didn't do very well because I've had to go looking for things. But I tried. The Rocket Tea, I should say, is by Tanis Laverley of Tanis Fibre Arts. Again, everything will be below. I've also finally made some progress on another summer weight top that I'm making. This is Vincas by Barocco. It's a free pattern, which I will link below, and I finished the back. As you can see, it's textured. I'm knitting this in Stylecraft. I'll hold it up against me so you can see. I'm knitting it in Stylecraft linen drape again. In the colour Eggplant, and this is 70% viscose, 30% linen, and it's just a lovely purple. I don't want to give too much away about the pattern, but it is a free pattern. I suppose I could do it without saying the actual measurements. Essentially, it tells you to knit to a particular length. And Denise from Dear Designs and I are both knitting this, and Denise is quite a bit taller than me and was a bit concerned that it might not be long enough for her. And I was concerned, even though I'm quite a bit shorter than Denise. And so we'd planned that if we needed to, we could add another section. You can see the sections are different depths. So, you know, if you only needed 1 inch, you could perhaps add this one, or if you needed 3 inches, you could add this one. You could fiddle it anyway. So at a certain point, before I got to the part where you have to measure and then knit to a particular length, I measured it and I was already 2 inches past that length. So I missed off, I think, the last 2 bands of the sweater, and this is the back, so all the shaping that was required was just to cast off the shoulder seams. So I did that. Yeah, I think it's because it's the linen drape. It's inclined to grow downwards. I don't really know quite how to describe it. I made a top with it before, that grew in all directions and I eventually got rid of. But that was to my own pattern, and I think I'd miscalculated somewhere along the line anyway. Excuse me. This is meant to be a loose top, so I'm not bothered if it grows. It's fine. It can do what it likes. I know better than to hang it over a rail to dry it now. I'll dry it flat. So I think we'll be okay. So now that I have extra linen drape, because I pulled down the Vellicore sweater, I might make some more of these. It's really fun to knit. As I say, it's a free pattern and the pattern changes often enough that you don't get bored with it. So I might well make some in a less summery yarn for winter, because I think it would be good over a long sleeve t-shirt or on its own on a not too chilly day. Yeah, so more progress that makes me feel a bit better and not quite so I've not done anything ish. And I think, excuse me, itchy snoz again, I think it is everything I had to tell you today. So I'm going to spend a couple of minutes telling tales on Miss Poppy. Her Majesty is asleep down here in her basket. And you may find what I'm about to tell you a little unbelievable. Do not be fooled. Last night we were sat watching television after dinner, before bed, and Poppy came in. And Poppy dropped out of her mouth onto the floor what looked like a little black stone. Now this is not unusual. Poppy's always carrying things in her mouth. She likes little bits of gravel and flying insects, anything that she can bring in to play with. So she dropped this black stone on the floor, and then the black stone stuck out its legs, all 8 of them, and began running towards me, as these things are inclined to do. So Dave went to get a glass and some cards so that he could evict her latest playmate, but he won't have it that she brought it in. I saw her do it, but he says, oh no, it must have been there already. It was not there already. She brought in an attack-trained spider and let it loose on me. And there she lies, waiting for her public to adore her. Don't fall for it. Because this morning, having had her attack-trained spider taken away, she came in with a bird. Snoring away, completely unconcerned. Fortunately, before Dave went to work, so that he could catch her and chuck her and the bird out. I think he got it away from her in the end. But she growls like a lion when she's got something she doesn't want to give you. On her back, I'll see if I can post a picture actually on Instagram and in the Facebook group. I have really neglected the Facebook group and I do apologise. I'm going to try and be a bit better. On her back she has 2 markings, like little wings where her shoulder blades are, where wings would be. We think they took her wings away for being naughty. And there's just like the scars where they used to be left. She's a bad cat. For all she sits there looking adorable. And you might be able to see behind me here, Miss Suzette is making an appearance on the podcast. Unfortunately, let me cover her ears so she can't hear. Madame Souris is a little heavy to hang in the tree. We're going to have to make alternative arrangements for Madame. She says it's undignified as well, apparently. Sorry, Madame. She's now looking at me from underneath the camera. Oh, her hat's fallen askew. Oh dear, I'll be in trouble for that as well, probably. Right then. It's probably time I had something to eat, because I have now wandered into the realm of nonsense, and that's just time to go then, isn't it? So, I will say, see you next week. I'll try and remember and do all the things I've said I'm going to do. And until I see you again, happy knitting.